Testu. I'm part of the GoldenGate product management team at Oracle. And today we're going to talk about a new exciting feature that we just launched in OCI GoldenGate called ZeroETL Mirror Pipelines. But first, what is OCI GoldenGate? OCI GoldenGate is a fully cloud-native data fabric platform running on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. It is powered by Oracle GoldenGate for data replication capabilities, data transforms for extract, transform, and load, or ETL capabilities, and by GoldenGate Stream Analytics when it comes to streaming ETL and real-time visualization capabilities. It is fully cloud-native and entirely managed by Oracle. And it does provide auto-scaling abilities that give you true cloud elasticity and a very low cost of operation. You can use OCI GoldenGate for very different data movement type use cases at any latency and any speed. We support a wide array of source and target technologies, and you can implement very diverse use cases such as ZeroETL use cases that we're going to talk about today, but also loading your data lakehouse, your data lake, loading your data warehouse in real time, and much more across hybrid and multi-cloud environments. So what are ZeroETL Mirror Pipelines? In this first release, ZeroETL Mirror Pipelines allow you to synchronize two autonomous databases running in OCI with just a few clicks, as you'll see in this demonstration. With a very simple setup and configuration, you're going to get going in a few minutes with setting up initial processes and ongoing replication processes that then you can monitor and that will transparently and automatically continue to replicate both data changes, DML changes, as well as structural changes, DDL changes, as we'll see today. This is now available in all OCI regions. So now let's see it in action. So we're now logged into the OCI console, and we're going to navigate to our OCI GoldenGate homepage or overview page. In the overview page, we have access to all of the resources that we've already created, and then all of the functionality that is included in OCI GoldenGate. And today we're focusing on the creation of ZeroETL Mirror Pipelines. I'm just going to go ahead and click on Create Pipeline. I'm going to name it ZeroETL Demo. I'm going to pick the licensing type, and we want to move data from our autonomous transaction processing database into our autonomous data warehouse, or ADW. So I'm just picking the connections that I've already created. And then in advanced options, I just want to enable start pipeline using the default mapping, which is going to allow me to create the pipeline and also kick off the pipeline using the default mapping rule, which is take everything from the source and move it into the target and create the necessary objects if required. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Create Pipeline. And then we're going to review it in its overview page or details page. Right here we can see the different configuration settings for our pipeline. We can take a look at the default mapping rule, which is star.star into star.star. And what this means in this particular case for the demo is that I'm going to grab any of the necessary schemas that are part of that database right here, and especially this SRC OCI GGLL schema, which contains transportation data that I want to move into my autonomous data warehouse. Right now we have about 57 records in the drivers table and 73 in the vehicles table. What I'm going to see and what we're going to see together is that in ADW right now, that schema does not exist. I have SRC mirror OCI GGLL, but I don't have SRC underscore OCI GGLL yet. So this is going to be created by my pipeline. So now we have the initialization steps that are displayed and listed. And these are all the steps that the ZeroETL Mirror Pipeline is going to go through to set up the source and target objects and the capture and apply processes. And all the initialization steps are now complete. So we can just go at the runtime level, and there we can see our capture and apply processes are currently running. So the initial load is done. So what we can do next is go to our autonomous data warehouse instance. I'm just going to refresh the page, and then we should see the new schema appearing on the ADW side. So we should have an src underscore OCI GoldenGate schema, and this contains, you know, all of the tables that are part of our ATP instance, and here we're looking at ATP. Remember, we had like 57 and 73 records in the drivers and vehicles table. So we're going to do and run the same query on the target side, and then we should have the exact same number of records. So yes, we have 73 and 57 records. So as we can see, the initial load, the ongoing synchronization has been performed correctly. Our ZeroETL pipeline is currently running with and displaying the overall latency. What I want to do next is, I insert some records in ATP, and we're going to see them, flow in our autonomous data warehouse on the target side. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm just going to paste those inserts, and we're going to run them. And then we'll do a record count on the source, and we'll do a record count on the target. And we should have 100 records in both tables. So if I run that, right, we have 100 records on the source, in the source tables. Now if we go to the target and we run the query there as well, we can see we have 100 records in the target as well. So, as we can see, our pipeline is correctly, propagating the changes as they come. So we're going to do more. Let's run some updates and deletes on the source, and let's run them on the target as well. Let's just do that here, and run some updates, some deletes on the source system, and we'll see that those changes obviously should be propagated as well. And next we're going to replicate some DDL changes as well. So we're going to alter the drivers table. We're going to be adding one new column that's going to store like tickets information, traffic violation tickets. Then we're going to update that drivers table and set the tickets column to 0. And then obviously we expect that all those changes will be propagated correctly to the target system. So let's take a look at that. We have now altered the table. So if I refresh the metadata, we can see that there is a new tickets column that has been added correctly. If I select the data on the source, we will see that the tickets column has been correctly populated with 0. And now if we go to the target ADW instance, we will double check that, on the drivers table, we do have a tickets column that has been added. And then if we select the data, then that column has also been set to 0. And so this is the end of the first part of the demonstration, where we've seen out of the box how easy it is to synchronize my source and my target instance together on OCI. Next, what I want to show you are some of the more advanced options, and we're going to go back to the creation of the pipelines. So I'm going back to the overview page. I'm going to click on Create Pipeline. I'm going to name it differently. I'm going to do something like ZeroETL pipeline. And this time, what we're going to do is we are not going to enable the start pipeline immediately. And I want to show you, some of the different configuration settings that you can set. Copy existing data before ongoing replication. This basically allows you to perform or not initial load. And if you perform the initial load using the ZeroETL Mirror Pipeline, then you have the ability to define what action you want to perform in case the tables already exist on the target. By default we replace, but you can also truncate those tables, you can append to those tables, or you can skip loading those tables. And obviously you can control those two settings using the slider over here. By default, we always load and replicate data changes, the DML changes. But as I've shown you, you can also replicate the DDL changes. This is optional, so you can also enable or disable it. And then you can tell the pipeline, what action you want to perform in case there is an error. Do you want to terminate the process? Do you want to discard records? And then you can actually view those discarded records using collect diagnostics, or you can ignore the errors and just move on. You can also decide to restart after failure or not. And if you decide not to restart, then the pipeline will fail in case of errors. Otherwise, it's going to try to recover. And maybe you see an error, but you are able to debug it, troubleshoot it, and fix it. Then it will automatically restart and pick up from where it left. So always good to keep the restart after failure. So we're going to create that pipeline, again, which is not going to start immediately. And when it's active and stopped, we're going to go back and I'm going to show you some of the more advanced options that are part of the ZeroETL pipelines. All right, so now our pipeline is created. So this time it's active and stopped. And I'm going to walk you through, some of the more advanced features of the ZeroETL pipeline, while the previous first part of the demo was more like the easy path. So right here, first, at the pipeline information level, I want to show you that you can test the connectivity to your source and target. So you can validate that you can access here my autonomous transaction processing instance and my ADW instance. Always a good practice. The second thing that I want to show you is that we can edit the mapping rules. So as I've said, by default we do a star.star into star.star, but obviously you can preview what is going to be the outcome of that rule. And obviously if you have more than one schema in your database, you are going to see more objects. And here what I would like to do actually is this time I want to map SRC OCI GGLL into SRC Mirror OCI GGLL, which is another schema that I have in ADW, which for now doesn't have any objects yet, as we can see here. So I'm going to click cancel, and I'm going to click on action, click on add, and here I can add include or exclude rules. So I could say, for example, I want to include SRC OCI GGLL.star, and I want to move it into SRC Mirror OCI GGLL.star, and at the same time, I would like to exclude the admin schema in my autonomous database. So, I can add as many rules as I want, and as I click on add mapping rules, the pipeline basically gets updated, and what we're going to do is we're going to remove the default star.star into star.star rule, and then we're going to monitor, we're going to take a look at the preview and see what the outcome of those rules is going to be. All right, so now that it's back, I'm going to remove that include star.star into star.star rule. And so now I can take a look at the output of those rules that I've set. And so before it was showing me SRC OCI GGLL into SRC OCI GGLL. This time, as you can see, it's SRC OCI GGLL into SRC Mirror. And so you can have more complex mapping rules. We support wildcards, star, question mark, and you can create pretty complex mapping rules that will change the behavior of your pipeline. The next thing I want to show you while this is updating here is I want to show you another best practice, which is to enable the OCI logging integration. So if you go to logs and you click on enable log, then you can basically send all of the events that are going to be happening while the pipeline is running. You can send them to OCI logging. So, I can pick another compartment in which I have logs, and I can just set the log retention to whatever I want, click on enable log, and this is basically setting up that integration. So as the pipeline runs, it is going to emit logging events that are going to be streamed into OCI logging. And then when you click on the log name right here, you'll be redirected to OCI logging, and you'll be able to see the logs that are relevant to that pipeline, right? So pretty important. So the other thing that I can show you is the notifications. So we make it easy for you to create notifications, and you have pre-built templates that you can use. The average resource consumption from a CPU or memory standpoint is over 90 minutes, then you can use one of those built-in rules. If the lag is greater than X number of seconds, if the apply is not running, if the pipeline status needs attention or failed, then what you can do is you can trigger the rule and send a notification into a topic. And then you can get alerts through Slack, text messages, emails, and so on. So that's always pretty useful. And from a monitoring standpoint, what I can show you as well is that we have different metrics that are emitted by the different ZeroETL Mirror Pipelines. We by default in this dashboard, we show you 4 different metrics, but be aware that if you go to OCI monitoring, to Metrics Explorer or Service Metrics, you are going to be able to see more than those 4 metrics, and all of those are documented in the obviously in the documentation. Maybe last, what I can show you are the different actions. Obviously I can start the pipeline using the mapping rule that we have customized together. I can collect diagnostics, and collect diagnostics is useful when you've set some of the actions upon errors to be discarded. If I set my DDL and DML errors or action upon errors to discard, then the pipeline is going to create discarded records. Those go into a discarded file, and that file you can actually collect using the collect diagnostics functionality. You provide a bucket in OCI, which is going to be an object storage bucket, and if you click on collect diagnostics, then after a couple of seconds, the diagnostics package is created containing all of these discarded records, and you can download it and analyze what's going on. So I hope this was useful, and again, thanks for your time, everyone, and have a great day.